Here today we are going to develop a new task in Oracle Data Integrator. That one is, we are going to load ODI XML data to a database. This one we call it as loading ODI XML to database transformation. Using an interface with ODI constant. How this one will work in real time? First step, when we want to create any project in Oracle Data Integrator, first we need to create a project. The same way like how we did with loading a data from flat file to a flat file to a relational database, and relational database to a flat file. The same way we are going to create a new project for loading an XML data to the target. For this I am creating a new project. First step is create a new project. Here, first of all, we need to start our Oracle Studio. For that, I am going to start all programs. Once we install Oracle Data Integrator, here under Oracle we will have Oracle Data Integrator. First we need to launch our ODI Studio. So I am right clicking here and selecting Run as Administrator. So first it will launch the Oracle Data Integrator Studio. Let's wait until it gets started with the launch studio. Here you all can see here Studio got launched. And the next step is we need to connect to the repository. So here I am clicking on connect to repository, and here I am connecting to my first ODI repository. So here it got connected, and next step we are going to design here is creating a new project. Here we are going to create a new project. First, once it got connected, how we are going to create a new project is, we are going to create, at the corner we can see new project from the drop down list. So I am selecting new project here, and I am giving naming convention ODI underscore, the similar way export underscore XML to relational table. That means XML to database. Relational table. So we need to click on save. So our data is ready. So our project is ready. If you click on this, now you can see new project related information available. Now we can export XML file directly to relational table target. The knowledge modules required for this are LKM file to SQL and IKM SQL incremental update, and we need to import those two by right clicking the knowledge modules, and we need to import those two knowledge modules. The knowledge modules which are needed, next step is, first we need to create a project, and the second step what we need to do, we need to import the knowledge modules. expand onto the left side panel and expand your project which we created. Under that we will have a knowledge modules. Why we will use a knowledge module is, knowledge module will have the pre-built knowledge or the pre-built communication things which were already built in the knowledge modules as per the ODI development. That means the requirement is that we are having data in the XML file format and we need to move it into the ODI environment. From ODI environment we need to move it to the target, which is then relational table. So this knowledge modules to export, that means to first of all import, right? That means loading the data from one database to the ODI environment. For that we use LKM. And next, once it is, let us assume once we use the LKM transformation or LKM knowledge module, what will happen? Data will be loaded from your XML file into the ODI staging area. Here, whatever the calculation on the data or whatever calculation you want to do, whatever measures you want to clear or whatever some tasks you want to do, everything we will design here in this staging area. Once it is designed, next we are going to export that to the target, which is the relational data base management system. When we try to export, we need an incremental load, that means SQL increment. So IKM, that is LKM knowledge module, which is needed here is LKM file to SQL, and IKM module which is needed is IKM incremental update. These are the two modules which we need to import. We will discuss in detail like how each knowledge module will work in detail. We will discuss in detail. And now once we right click on our knowledge modules from the designer, we will select import knowledge modules. Which knowledge module we want? First one is LKM file to SQL. LKM file to SQL is selected, and the next knowledge module with your control key, you go to IKM SQL incremental update. IKM SQL incremental update. Click OK. This both will be get imported, and it will show you what exactly which knowledge module is getting imported. So just click close and expand your knowledge module space. In the LKM you can see the knowledge module which we imported. File, that means XML is a file, we are importing into a format of SQL. From SQL it is going to increment and load it into the target. That's what we are doing here. And IKM you can see SQL incremental update. So next option is like why in this example actually the generic SQL knowledge modules were used. However, specific knowledge modules can be used depending on the target or the source database which we are connecting. So depends on the different relational database management systems, you can use it whatever knowledge module you want to use. And here next option, what we need to do, knowledge modules which we imported were check SQL and LKM SQL to SQL, IKM SQL, control element. These are the knowledge modules which we imported. Now we can expand each and every knowledge module and we can check how the data is, how the imported knowledge module is available there. And after loading this, what is the next step we will do is creating a new data server and a physical schema for XML source model. That means we are creating a connection kind of thing in the topology for the XML related information. So here I want to create, which I am having as a demo file, that is geo dimension XML file, geological dimensional data file in a XML format is available under my ODI installed folder path under a demo folder. So now I want to use that XML file to load the data into my target relational database management system. So now I need on topology where I can create physical architecture as well as logical architecture. In the technologies tab, if I expand, I can see XML. Under this, this step we call it as creating new data server and physical schema for XML source model. Under the topology, now we need to go to topology and expand our technology. On the XML, just right click on XML and select new data server. So we are creating a new data connection, source connection for the XML file. So just click on it. It will open a window space like this. Here first we need to define our data server name. So here I am defining it as XML underscore file, and next we need to select JDBC tab. So here we need to select synonyms synopsis dot jdbc dot driver dot xml and synonyms xml driver option. Once you click it, you can see here use this driver to connect to an XML file using JDBC. That means this driver we will use it for connecting to XML file. So we are selecting this driver, and next the URL which we want to use it for connecting is, we need to select here the URL option. So here this one I want to enter it manually, so I am giving here First of all, I want to provide my path where my file is available. This one is the home path actually, where my file will be available. And after that, when you are providing with JDBC synapse, right, make sure that before, when you are providing the path, make sure that you have this script is selected. That means JDBC colon snps colon xml question mark f file equal to, then you need to have the file path. After that, you need to have these options need to be selected. If not, it will throw you an error. It will show you like it is not getting connected. So in order to fix that, make sure that you have this option selected during the XML file load from source, connecting to the XML source. Once we select this and once we click on test connection, you can see here test connection is successful. Once it is selected, once it is done, next click on, next option is right click on, your XML file will be get created into the XML. You can see whatever the source option you selected there, XML file, that will be get created readily. And the next option what we are going to do is, we are going to right click on the XML file option and we are going to select new physical schema. In this new physical schema, we are going to create our data, that is geo dimension, the one file which we are having from the source path which we provided in the XML, geo underscore d, the same one it will be get selected, and the working schema also will be the same. Automatically, once this one is created, you are so under the physical architecture, once you are able to connect to your source file which is the XML file, then automatically it will show you the physical schema and the work repository schema which you need to select there. Once it is selected, what you need to do is, you need to click on save button. So it will ask you content for the specific schema. Please specify the appropriate content to be able to use the schema in the designer module. That means the content tab here, we doesn't require to do any changes here. We doesn't require to provide the content which it is asking here. Like just click OK, that is enough. Okay. Once you click OK, that will be enough. Just click OK. When it is asking you to provide, just click OK, and next it got saved. Next step what we are going to do is, we are going to create the logical architecture. So this, in these two steps what we have done, after creating this connection to XML is successful. And next step we are doing with we have done with physical architecture. And next we are going to design logical architecture. Now in the under the topology manager, we need to open the logical architecture. Just minimize your physical architecture. You can go to your logical architecture. Under these technologies, you need to expand the logical architecture. First, in what way we have designed the project is, first we created a project, and after that we imported the XMLs which will be used for loading the data from the source system to your staging and staging to your target. And after that we designed a connection to the source file which we are connecting through a physical architecture, and using logical architecture we will recreate the connections logically, which we can be used in the model building into the designer, where we can import that source file data. So for this, once we open the logical architecture, right click on XML and select here new logical schema. Once you select that, just give the name as geo dimension, and by default your physical schema what you created there, which will be available by default here. You can see here, this is the XML file, geo dimension will be available. So once it is available, just select that and click on save button. That's all. So we created the physical architecture. In the logical architecture we referred that physical architecture, and this logical architecture whatever we designed here in this new data server, that will be available in the modeling of your project, loading a data from XML file to the target relational database management system. Now what we are doing here is, next step, creating Dbms schema or user for ODI target data store. So this is what we need to do. We need to create a relational database schema, users to host ODI target data store. That means the user which they will host the target data store we need to create. For this, next step, we are creating new ODI target data server and physical schema. Already in our previous session, we have created with the schema for the ODI, that is ODI stage STG. So we can make use of that schema for loading the data for the target table. So if we we are already having the target schema, we need not recreate it. If we are not having, then we need to create a separate schema for the target role. Here we creating a new ODI target data server and Physical Schema. So here we'll open a topology manager. Already creating this new target server, target data server, this one is already done. Like we loaded data from relational database to the ODI staging, and we created there. Just only one thing what we can do is we can create this target table into our schema. Just we'll go here. We'll just create one table here, that is target table. So what happens here, we'll have two tables, one is the source table and other one is the target table. So already in the previous training, like we loaded data from relational database to the target file. Now we are loading from XML file to the target relational database management system. So for that we need a table, so already we created. Now we will create the target connections for ODI stage. For creating target connections, we need to go to topology manager here. Under this, we need to expand physical architecture. We'll just right click on Oracle and create new data server. So we'll just give this one as ODI underscore staging underscore target. Before we created one that is for the source, so we are creating this one for the target. Next we'll select JDBC. Under this JDBC we'll select the drive, Oracle driver. Next we need to select the URL in which kind of connection we want, that is localhost :1521 :orcl. These are the three connection details which we will provide when we are connecting to the JDBC URL. Once we create this, just we need to click on save button. This one is saved. Next, we need to expand our logical architecture. Just right click on Oracle. We need to create new logical schema, that is for the target. In our previous we have created it for here we need to test our connection. Connection is successful and it is saved. Next step, what we need to do, we need to go to logical architecture. We'll expand Oracle and we'll be selecting the we are creating physical schema here. So right click on your staging, Oracle staging target, and create new physical schema. So here we need to select which physical schema it is. That is from the ODI staging. Here it is ODI staging. Just we'll right click on this, new logical schema. Before it is physical schema, now we are creating a logical schema. Once ODI under staging is done and once it is saved, now we are opening logical architecture and we are creating a new logical schema. Here name we will provide as stage underscore target. The one which we are going to select is ODI target, staging target, that is ODI staging it is going to connect. This one is created. Make sure like you have the same naming convention for your physical as well as your target. That will be easy for us to identify if someone other than you were logging into the environment and if they were trying to find out something, it will be easy for them to find out what exactly happening there, how the things are working from that end. That point of view, you need to make sure like you maintain the same sync of naming convention even from designing from your model, and next when we are designing your physical architecture and when we are designing it for your logical architecture, we need to try to maintain the same kind of naming convention so that it will be easy for us to understand. So once it is designed, click on save button. This one will be saved. Next, we are going to create a new ODI source model. That means after finishing creating the project, we need to design physical architecture and logical architecture even for the sources, even for the targets. Source we created for XML data connection, target we created for relational database system, that is ODI staging. After this, we need to design a source model as well as a target model to import and to do the reverse engineering. For this, next step, new ODI source model. Creating a new ODI source model will be available here. So for creating a new ODI source XML, that means source model, within the interface we'll go to designer. Under the designer we'll have a models option. So we are creating a new model. So once we expand this, we'll find out a new model. So we are creating a new model. I want to provide this one as source geological dimensional XML. Geo dim XML is the source which we want to create. And the next technology we need to select. Which technology it is? XML. If it is an SQL, we will be selecting the Oracle. If it is an file, we will be selecting the file. That's the way we need to change it. So logical schema is geo dimension, which we have provided. So generic is the normal one. And the next option what we need to do, we need to click on save. Select the reverse engineering tab. Set the content as standard, content as global. It should be global all the time. So next we need to save it. Now here we can see source geo dimension XML. We can right click here and select. What we can do, we can close this previous tabs which we already saved, so that it will be visibly clear for us to design the remaining one. Now here also we will have an option called selective reverse. We don't want. Now we want to do the reverse engineering from here. Once we right click, we need to select reverse engineer. So what it is doing, it is trying to connect to your source of your XML file, and whatever the columns and rows of data is available, it is going to import here. You can see here city, client, country, geological dimension, everything got imported. Under geo dimension we are having all these columns. Once you select this, you will be getting city, client, country, geo dimension and region. These are the 5 tables which will be get imported. And under this, now we need to create one more data model, that is Dbms target. Now we need to expand this under this models. Right click on the client and we are just making it as duplicate. We'll select duplicate selection. Into task, duplicate client, click on this. Now we need to drag and drop the new duplicate copy of client from source geodimension XML model to RDBMS target model. That means, like, first thing is like we will create a new model here, that is RDBMS target, new model.